very strong message, not just to President Trump, to the world, but to your people as well, that you want critical minerals to be produced and to finally be manufactured into a final product within Brazil. Having said that, let's then talk about President Trump and your relationship with him. From I have no relationship with Trump to a meeting to now you're headed to the United States of America probably next month. How do you define your relationship with Trump? How do you define President Trump?
Well, I would like to say something that is very serious. I got along very well with President Bush. I got along very well with President Obama. I got along very well with President Biden. And now I want to get along also very well with President Trump. The relationship between Brazil and the U.S. has more than 200 years of existence, diplomatic relations. And I want to continue to be a strong relationship. That's what I want. With the freedom that the U.S. wants for them and the freedom that I wish for Brazil. Brazil has a trade with the U.S. of $80 billion. $40 billion that Brazil exports and $40 billion that we import from the U.S. And there's a surplus in the trade for the U.S. The U.S. represents only 12% of the Brazilian trade balance. Of these 12%, 22% received the tariffs from Trump. It's not the end of the world. And we did not apply the reciprocity law because we believe in the capacity to negotiate from the Brazilian side. I have my chancellor with me, I have my finance minister, and I have the vice president of the republic that are negotiating with the U.S. Trump administration. And I proposed to him a meeting, person to person in March. Let's see what will be the date so that we can put things on the table, the issues on the table, and reach the agreement that we have to make. At any level, there's nothing forbidden issue to discuss with President Trump on trade matters. What I cannot put in discussion is my sovereignty and the democracy in Brazil. This is something that belongs to me and my people. But from the trade viewpoint, I'm willing to negotiate with the U.S. as I'm going to negotiate tomorrow with Prime Minister Modi. I came here to discuss with Prime Minister Modi what is good for Brazil and for India in our relation. What can Brazil buy from India and sell to India? What our business sector can build partnerships? Because this is what's important for the people. What will the people gain with all this, with these things? It's not just coming from the U.S. It cannot only the U.S. win to be the winner only alone. What we want, and that's why we advocate multilateralism.
Mr. President, one sense is certainly that there is some kind of weaponization of tariffs by the U.S. president. You said that you had great equations with former President Bush. Is it difficult to negotiate with Donald Trump?
I haven't started a negotiation with him yet. We had 2 phone calls, conversations, and we have a person-to-person conversation in Malaysia. Now, I want to go to the U.S. because since he started in Venezuela saying that he wanted to fight organized crime, drug trafficking very well, I also want to fight it. And I said it to him, a relationship of Brazilians that were smuggling gasoline to Brazil. And this citizen, this criminal, lives in Miami. And I even took a photograph of the house of this criminal that lives in Miami. If we're going to fight drug trafficking, send it back to Brazil, these criminals, Brazilian criminals that are living in the States, back to Brazil, so that they could be put on trial in Brazil. We have a federal police that is very specialized. We have tax revenue service that is very well prepared, and we want to sit down with the DOJ, with the tax revenue authorities in the U.S., and let's fight drug trafficking. Yes, let's do it together. And so this proposal, I want to take it in writing form to President Trump, because I'm afraid that the wind can blow the words. So I'm going to take it in writing. Everything that I'm going to talk with President Trump, I'll take it in writing. I'm optimistic with this conversation with President Trump.
President, sir, the fact that when we interviewed President Putin, he said that President Trump is very different when he's in his private space and talking to a leader, and very different when he's talking to the world. What's your experience?
I had already the opportunity to watch. Trump is an expert in marketing. He is an expert of the digital and social media. It's very clear that he does this like a TV show, and in the personal meeting, he's much more calmer and shows great tranquility. So I want to benefit from this personal moment, this person-to-person, the tranquility that two heads of state should have when they're together. I'm 80 years old, and he's going to be 80 now next June. So two men of 80 years of age do not need to fight. We don't have to put up a showcase. We have to deal seriously that the age that we have imposes on us, and to reach an agreement that could be a show as a role model to the world. We are the two largest democracies of that part of the world. And so we have to give an example at all levels. The only thing that I know is that I don't want war. My theory is the theory of Mahatma Gandhi, that managed to win and achieve independence of this giant called India through the example, showing an example, motivating the people that India would have to be free. This is the example, the role model of my life is Gandhi. This is the example of things that have to happen. Brazil has no vocation to go to war. We have already many domestic issues. When I took office in 2003, President Bush invited me to participate in the war on Iraq. And I told President Bush that I never met Saddam Hussein. Iraq was located 14,000 kilometers away from Brazil, and that my war was against hunger. We had 54 million Brazilians in hunger in Brazil. We ended with the hunger in Brazil. I stayed 15 years out of power. When I came back now, we had again 34 million people in hunger in Brazil. Again, in 2.5 years of my third term now, we ended with the hunger again in Brazil. This is my war that I want to wage against inequality, inequality of race, of economic inequality, gender inequality. And now another fight I picked up now, another fight that I'm going to pick up, that is to fight against murders of women, female murders, and violence against women. I'm going to fight against that. And I've been saying that the priest has to start at Mass talking about that there should be no violence against women. The pastor in his church has to start the service talking about against violence. The trade union leader will go to the plant gate, demand more wages. He also has to talk about the violence against women, because we, the men, are the ones that practice violence against women. And the women were not be made to be beaten by men. and not can be treated as an object. Women in the 21st century, they demand respect. They want equality. They want to participate in the political life of the country. And they're not inferior to vis-a-vis to anyone else. So this is my fight against inequality. Any kind of inequality.